Hey friends, it's PJ from the Prize Podcast. I had the distinct pleasure of going down to the Military Influencer Conference, lovingly known as MIC, in Atlanta just a couple weeks ago. For those of you who are unfamiliar with MIC, it's the largest single gathering of entrepreneurs, leaders, and creatives in the military space. There were some amazing speakers, we met some incredible people, and there was even a comedy night. Huge shout out to the MIC event staff for hooking us out with the media pass. This allowed us to set up our cameras so we could conduct some spot interviews to hear from some of the participants about what they thought the most important things to focus on when it came to transitioning out of the military. We heard some great things, and I just wanted to share them with you. Let's go ahead and dive in. If you have one piece of advice that you would offer to a transitioning service member or their family, then what would that be?
So don't ignore your mental health. So like one of the big things that we've got is, the Charlie Mike sort of attitude is like, all right, yeah, just suck up, drive on, carry on mission. We can deal with it. We can wrestle when we're dead sort of thing.
Yeah.
So some of my issue whenever I left, I went from active duty infantry and got out and joined the reserve logistical group. Like I had the whole like sense of identity crisis. Like, I used to be Captain Lang, I went to Sears school, I was Rainer school, and like I had all these qualifications, huge puffed up chest, and then I was like, oh man, nobody cares about that now. None of that matters.
Yeah.
And the job that I went into as a civilian was a box making factory, and they were great there. But I started to notice that, like, I was talking with the guys in the break room, like giving stories, but like most of my stories ended up in a really sad manner. Like, lost a lot of friends in Afghanistan, and so it was like, oh yeah, tell this story about this awesome relationship I had with this guy, and then it's like, oh yeah, and then he stepped on a toe popper, didn't make it back. And they're like, man, all your stories are depressing. And I was like, oh, like back in my old life, like, this was the kind of stuff that we shared all the time, and like it just doesn't resonate with this audience.
Yeah.
And it was the whole thing is like, I have to evaluate like the way that I even speak.
Yeah.
And that sense of identity that I had that was like completely tied into my life in the military, and it's like now that's gone.
Yeah.
And I had all sorts of other, like negative aspects of my transition. I just didn't feel I was super prepared. Struggled with my marriage. My wife got pregnant for another kid, and I was already like, oh crap, like I'm barely hanging on with this first one.
Right.
And so I was having issues with mental health, and it just got worse once I got on the outside.
Right.
And, the whole thing, it was like asking for help from like my buddies that were already on the outside. And it's like, oh, I can't do that. I can't seem weak.
It's interesting.
Yeah. But, so I just sort of just tried to do the drive on thing, and it did not work well for my favor.
Yeah. So how did you handle that?
So a lot of it was on Michelle. I started getting in a really bad depression, and the whole thing was like, all right, so I can't even get myself out of bed. And one of the good things about being a Southern Pennsylvania girl is she's super stubborn. It's like, nope, we're going to keep going. And so I couldn't do that myself, so I relied on her for a little bit. She started making me medical appointments and stuff, and like actually getting me up out of bed, made sure that I ate. And it's one of those weird things. Like, I know in my head that if I get up and I play with my kids, if I get up and I work out, like I get up and eat, like I'm going to feel better. But I mean, I deep dived into neurobiology. That was part of like what helped me out, is figuring out like what's wrong with my brain and how do I fix this.
Yeah.
And so did a lot of research into that, and that sort of helped me, because it's like, all right, so I'm understanding, like the way the brain uses dopamine, serotonin, and all those, fun, and the catecholamines, all that jazz, and this is what I need to do to fix it, and this is why like I know what I need to do, but I can't do it. But I didn't need to do that deep dive if I just would have actually like focused on my mental health, instead of everyone was like, oh yeah, I'll be all right, I'll be fine, I'll just push through.
Right.
And that was just my ego and complete lack of humility.
Sure.
That all came crashing down on my head.
Absolutely. So how did you deal with that? Like, what helped you kind of overcome that?
So getting back on medication helped. So one of the things I was told is like, hey, yeah, VA is going to take care of you once you get on the outside. I didn't understand all the aspects of like filing for disability and all that. And so it was another one of those just like mistakes that I made. I feel like whenever I got out and did the transition, I did like pretty much everything wrong. And so I ran out of medication. I tried to titrate myself down till I could like get to the VA, and then like I got to the VA, finally had my appointment. They're like, yeah, you made too much money last year, we can't help you. And it's like,
oh my God,
I was in the Army last year, like what the hell? But I realized I didn't do all the paperwork that I was supposed to do. So that just hit me like a stack of bricks, and quitting cold turkey from antidepressants makes everything that's going on in your head so much worse.
Yeah, for sure.
So one of my things with mental health now is that I try and talk to people. It's like, okay, so for my situation with a severe depression, like I was laying in bed, like I couldn't get out, and I knew all the things that I should be doing. I just didn't have. It's like I had a contractor in my head that I didn't have the money to pay him, so I couldn't get that.
It's an interesting metaphor.
Yeah, it's like I needed the dopamine to get myself to get up and out of bed, and I just didn't have any. Plus, I was diagnosed with ADHD as a kid anyway, so in ADHD, you lack dopamine. And what dopamine your brain does have, your brain doesn't always use it the right way. So it was getting back on medication, and that's the thing, like, therapy was the healing, and the medication was a Band-Aid. So, like,
right.
It's the initials, like, okay, so you need help. We're going to get you this, chemical that you need for your head exogenously. And then once you're like actually getting up and moving, then you start cementing the neural pathways like in your behavior and therapy to get you actually functioning again. Like, I'm happy to say, like, I've been off antidepressants for a really long time. Like,
yeah, man.
Things are going pretty good right now. So
good.
And, but that's the weird part. It's like, I still got a lot of stress in my life. Like, there's a lot of stress at work. There's a lot of stress at home. Like,
sure.
I got 3 kids. Like, I'm sleeping very little. But
it's a sign of life.
Yeah, right? And I can handle it.
Yeah.
Whereas before, like, I knew it was like, no, this would have wrecked me. But now, like, all right, so I have, my brain working in the way that I want it to,
Right. Yeah. So you're saying, if I can paraphrase, you're saying that like the medication was something to bridge the gap, and then the therapy's what really helped cement everything.
Yeah, the therapy was the actual healing. Like, the medication is sort of like, your combat casualty care stuff. It's like, all right, so we need to keep this guy alive, and then you get them back to where they can start healing.
Right. Hey, man, I applaud you for the honesty and for the rawness, and also for taking control of your own life in that manner.
Mm-hmm.
I think that personally, one of the things that I've seen as the biggest struggle for, I shouldn't say biggest, but it is a huge struggle for a lot of people, military, whatever, is being honest with ourselves.
Yeah.
And that's kind of that first step. And when you were talking about like ego and overcoming your own humility, a big piece of that is honesty, right?
Yes.
Like a big piece of that is like, no, I need help. And it's okay to talk to other people and get that help. So, hey, I applaud you for doing that. What are some places or avenues that you think that people can actually take advantage of in order to get the help that they need?
So, I mean, there's a lot of great stuff here at MIC. A lot of nonprofits that do that. Our particular nonprofit, Operation Honor Royal Salute. So I'm from small town Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
And we get the resources to Pennsylvania. So we get pretty much throw like a big fair. Like, everybody loves going to the county fair.
Yeah,
anyways.
of course.
So we go to the fairgrounds. We get the local vendors. We get the food trucks. We get music, fireworks, and all that. And then we get a big old row of veteran resources that are there to help out. We even get the VA to come in. We give them generators and hotspots because there's not always good internet where we're showing up.
Of course.
But so the last one that we did in Pennsylvania, they said that was the biggest response they've gotten from the rural veteran demographic
Beautiful.
ever.
Yeah.
And that's generally a hard group to fight, but or a hard group to target. And it's like a fight to get them to, come and get help in the first place.
Definitely.
And I got a friend in emergency medicine, and she always freaks out whenever a farmer comes in, like on his own volition. She's like, oh, what is going on with this guy?
Uh-oh. Yeah, he's missing a leg, isn't he?
Yeah.
Yep.
But yeah, so, make sure that, you don't let the ego like crush you into asking for help. Actually, there are resources out there. There's a lot of resource databases. Use Military One Source. Again, like Operation Honor Royal Salute. Like, there's a plethora of them out there that'll help out.
Right. Prize. That's what we're here for, actually.
Nice.
Hey, man, I really appreciate it. Thank you for being honest. Thank you for being raw.
Yeah.
Do you like to read it all?
I do.
Have you ever read Ego is the Enemy by Ryan Holiday?
Oh, no, I haven't checked that one.
Do you know who Ryan Holiday is?
I am aware of the name.
Yeah, highly recommend that book.
Yeah,
you mentioned it's such a fantastic book.
Yeah.
But cool. Thank you, sir. I appreciate you. You're probably noticing a theme here. So yeah, he's mentioning don't neglect your mental health as a theme, and I would totally agree with that. And this goes back to what Marshall said earlier of like, don't be afraid to be vulnerable. Don't be afraid to be raw. This is something, if you look, I would invite you to please go look at a lot of our old podcasts, of seeing how some of these people have navigated the plight out of the military. But like, I mean, again, he brings up a great point. It's like we tend to focus on the immediate, the now. Oh, I got to get a job. I got to be able to take care of my family. And our mental health completely goes out the window. And when we don't get this taken care of, a lot of the other things in our life can suffer. Our relationships, our jobs, our being a parent. These are the things that are the downstream effects of not taking care of our mental health. And I love that you illustrated that, like, hey, look, medication is something that we can use to help us at least gain momentum, and then focus on the longer term picture, on the things that will actually make that meaningful change. And hey, medication is not a bad thing. I think we covered this with Crystal in one of our last episodes. Get the help that you need. It is out there. The resources are out there. The VA is out there. And I know that a lot of people here that may be watching this have had probably potentially a pretty terrible experience with the VA, but I have faith that things are actually getting better in that realm. So utilize the tools and the people that are out there, your family, just as you did, Chris, to get your momentum and get the help that you need.